The first alarm reached the Galactic Council at exactly 3:17 standard cycle. A mining fleet belonging to the mighty Varkon Dominion had vanished inside the Alios Rift, a region bordering human territory. Long-range scanners found no wreckage, no distress signals, no energy signatures, only silence. At first the Council dismissed it as another pirate attack. Then a second fleet disappeared. Then an entire battle group of 73 warships simply ceased to exist. Panic spread across the stars because the Varkon Dominion had never lost a battle in 12,000 years. Investigators searched every possibility until they reached a conclusion no one wanted to admit. The last known vessels near the disappearances belonged to humanity. The Council erupted into laughter. Humans? The young species from Earth? The civilization that had joined the galactic community barely 3 centuries earlier? Impossible. Humans possessed respectable technology, but compared to the ancient empires they were insignificant. Their ships were smaller, their population lower, and they constantly avoided political conflicts. The Council declared that no human force could destroy a Varkon fleet. Yet whispers continued spreading. Merchant captains spoke of human ships appearing from nowhere. Explorers reported entire pirate kingdoms abandoning sectors after receiving anonymous human transmissions. Every story ended the same way. No witnesses. No evidence. Only silence. Determined to prove humanity's weakness once and for all, Supreme Admiral Karath assembled the largest military coalition in galactic history. 21 empires contributed nearly 2 million warships. Their objective was simple: surround Earth, demand unconditional surrender, and expose the myth of human invincibility. When they kneel, Karath announced before billions of viewers, the galaxy will remember that fear belongs only to the ancient empires. Humanity's response consisted of exactly 6 words transmitted on every frequency. Proceed if you truly wish. The message confused everyone. No threats. No negotiations. No desperate pleas. Only calm acceptance. The coalition entered the Sol system expecting orbital defenses, hidden fleets, or planetary shields. Instead they found peaceful traffic, commercial stations, and a blue world continuing daily life as though nothing unusual was happening. Children played beneath Earth's skies while nearly 2 million enemy warships blocked the stars above. Admiral Karath smiled. They've surrendered before the battle even begins. He ordered a squadron to approach Earth's orbit. The lead cruiser suddenly froze. Every system shut down simultaneously. Engines died. Weapons powered off. Communications vanished. Seconds later the same failure spread through thousands of nearby ships. Engineers screamed in confusion as every backup system failed without explanation. Then power returned. Nothing was damaged. Nothing had exploded. Yet every classified database inside every affected ship had been copied. Human intelligence had silently entered the most secure military network ever created. Before panic could spread, another transmission arrived from Earth. Your encryption was designed well, for your century. Silence filled the bridges of every flagship. The impossible had already happened. Humanity had penetrated technology built by civilizations thousands of years older. Admiral Karath ignored the warning and ordered the invasion anyway. Millions of fighters launched toward Earth. They never reached the atmosphere. Space itself seemed to ripple. Thousands of massive objects appeared where nothing had existed seconds earlier. They were not warships in any recognizable sense. They resembled floating cities wrapped in black metallic armor covered with glowing geometric patterns. No engines emitted light. No weapons protruded from their hulls. Yet every scanner aboard the coalition simultaneously identified the newcomers with one terrifying designation: unknown class. Impossible mass, impossible energy output. Impossible origin. Human Admiral Elena Morgan appeared on every screen. She wore no elaborate uniform or medals. She simply looked tired, as though this interruption had delayed more important work. You assumed, she began calmly, that because humanity rarely fights, humanity cannot fight. That assumption has ended civilizations before. Admiral Karath demanded identification of the enormous vessels. Elena smiled slightly. "These are not our warships. These are our border patrol ships." Laughter erupted across several coalition bridges until one of the black vessels gently accelerated. Sensors calculated its speed, then recalculated thousands of times before failing entirely. The impossible craft crossed nearly 1 light hour in less than a second without generating hyperspace signatures. Physics itself appeared to surrender before human engineering. Admiral Karath finally realized something was terribly wrong. He ordered every ship to fire simultaneously. 2 million warships unleashed enough energy to sterilize star systems. The beams struck nothing. Every human vessel had vanished between moments. Then they reappeared behind the coalition without detectable movement. Entire fleets found themselves surrounded. Not destroyed. Simply outmaneuvered in ways every scientific model declared impossible. Human weapons finally activated. They emitted no explosions. No brilliant lasers. Instead, invisible pulses swept across the battlefield. Coalition ships remained physically intact, but every weapon permanently fused, every targeting computer erased, every reactor safely shut down. Humanity wasn't destroying fleets. They were removing the ability to wage war. Within 20 minutes, the largest invasion force in galactic history had become 2 million powerless museums drifting through space. Admiral Karath watched in horror as his command screens displayed impossible reports. Casualties, 0. Human casualties, 0. Operational coalition warships, 0. Humanity had defeated the greatest armada ever assembled without killing a single person. The Galactic Council demanded immediate explanations. Humanity declined. Instead, Admiral Elena invited every representative to Earth. Reluctantly they accepted. Deep beneath the Himalayas, inside a facility older than recorded history, the truth finally emerged. Long before humanity developed radio or rockets, Earth had been visited by an ancient civilization unlike anything known in modern galactic records. Those beings had not conquered humanity. They had studied human psychology. After observing centuries of conflict, sacrifice, innovation, and impossible survival, they reached an astonishing conclusion. Humans possessed a neurological advantage no other intelligent species shared. Under extreme pressure, the human brain became dramatically more creative rather than less. Every impossible situation accelerated human innovation. Every disaster strengthened determination. Rather than enslaving humanity, the ancient visitors left behind a simple warning recorded in hundreds of forgotten languages. Never force humanity into total war. They departed, believing younger civilizations would eventually understand. They never did. Thousands of years later, humans rediscovered the visitors' abandoned technology, but unlike every other species that copied alien devices, humans dismantled them completely, learned the underlying principles, and reinvented everything from first principles. Human technology no longer depended on alien science. It had surpassed it. The so-called border patrol vessels represented barely 5% of Earth's actual defensive capability. Humanity had hidden its strength because history repeatedly proved that displaying overwhelming power only encouraged larger wars. The Council sat speechless. Admiral Karath quietly asked the question haunting every mind. "If those weren't your warships, where is your fleet?" Admiral Elena looked toward the stars beyond the underground chamber. Exploring galaxies beyond, the galaxy enjoyed nearly a century of uneasy peace after the surrender of the machine civilization. Trade flourished across thousands of worlds, ancient rivalries faded, and for the first time in recorded history the Galactic Council functioned without fear of war. Humanity never claimed leadership. They refused every offer to become emperors, protectors, or rulers. Instead, they quietly rebuilt damaged systems, restored dead stars, and helped civilizations recover from conflicts they themselves had never started. To many younger species, humans became legends, builders rather than conquerors. But beyond the edge of every known galaxy, something had been watching. The entity had no name because no civilization had ever survived long enough to give it one. It drifted through the void between galaxies where even light seemed reluctant to travel. It had consumed civilizations older than time, erased entire realities, and fed upon the energy of collapsing universes. When it detected humanity's impossible expansion across multiple galaxies, it did something it had never done before. It changed course. Across human observatories, silent alarms activated. The signals did not resemble radio waves or gravity. They were distortions in reality itself. Every human research station recognized the pattern immediately. Deep beneath Earth's oldest archives, an encrypted protocol unlocked for the first time in 10,000 years. Its title contained only 3 words: if they return. Admiral Elena Morgan, now far older but still commanding humanity's strategic council, stood before officers gathered from hundreds of galaxies. Behind her floated a hologram of the approaching anomaly. Everything we've faced until now, she said quietly, was running from this. The room fell silent. Even humanity had prepared for this moment for millennia. Across countless galaxies, hidden construction projects awakened. Entire stars unfolded like mechanical flowers. Planets separated into enormous shipyards. Moons transformed into colossal defense platforms. What the Milky Way had once believed were human colonies revealed themselves as components of an unimaginably vast defensive network. Within hours, over 1 trillion human vessels assembled in intergalactic space. Yet the officers aboard those ships remained calm. They had trained for this mission since childhood. The approaching entity ignored every fleet. It simply continued advancing, bending space around itself. Entire constellations vanished into darkness wherever its shadow passed. Then it spoke, not through sound, but directly into the minds of every intelligent being in existence. You have become dangerous. Billions collapsed from the overwhelming psychic pressure. Only humans remained standing. Admiral Elena answered through humanity's quantum communication lattice, her voice reaching every corner of known existence. No. We became prepared. The entity released a wave capable of erasing civilizations from history itself. Thousands of stars disappeared instantly. Human ships moved before the wave arrived, creating enormous lattices of energy between galaxies. Reality stabilized. The impossible attack simply stopped. Every alien scientist watching the battle reached the same conclusion. Humanity wasn't resisting the laws of physics anymore. They had learned to rewrite them. For 72 continuous hours the conflict raged across millions of light years. Human fleets sacrificed themselves to protect inhabited worlds, while automated factories beyond known space replaced every destroyed vessel faster than they could be lost. There was no panic. No retreat. Every captain understood humanity's oldest military doctrine: no world fights alone. Finally, Admiral Elena activated the last protocol hidden inside Earth's ancient archives. The stars themselves responded. Throughout every galaxy humanity had explored, billions of beacons ignited simultaneously. They were not weapons. They were messages. The signal raced beyond the observable universe, carrying one sentence in thousands of mathematical languages. Humanity requests assistance. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then the darkness beyond reality began to glow. From regions no telescope had ever observed came countless lights, far more than the stars inside the entire observable universe. One by one they emerged, civilizations humanity had quietly befriended during 10,000 years of exploration beyond known space. Species older than galaxies. Living beings made of light. Artificial intelligences that inhabited black holes. Creatures born before the first stars existed. None had answered the Galactic Council's calls in ancient times. But every one of them answered humanity's. Their combined fleet surrounded the cosmic entity from every direction. The ancient destroyer paused for the first time in its endless existence. It asked a single question. Why do they fight for you? Admiral Elena smiled. Because we fought for them first. In that instant the entity finally understood what every empire before it had failed to learn. Humanity's greatest weapon had never been superior ships, impossible science, or unimaginable fleets. It was trust. Wherever humans traveled, they left allies instead of subjects, friends instead of slaves, hope instead of fear. The entity had spent eternity standing alone. Humanity had spent eternity ensuring no one else ever had to. Surrounded by civilizations united through human compassion rather than conquest, the ancient destroyer surrendered without another attack. It withdrew beyond the edge of reality, leaving behind a single warning before disappearing forever. Guard this universe well, for darker things still sleep beyond it. The galaxies celebrated for an entire year. Yet humanity did not. They quietly began building again, larger shipyards, stronger defenses, and faster exploration vessels. Because humans understood something every other civilization eventually learned. Victory was never the end of the journey. It was simply the beginning of the next responsibility. And somewhere beyond the final horizon, where even the oldest stars feared to shine, unknown eyes watched humanity's growing light, wondering whether the species once dismissed as primitive would someday become the guardians of existence itself.